Hey, what's up, guys? It's Rico, CEO of SourceFine Asia, and I'm back with another one for the SourceFine Asia vlog. And if you don't know, we also have the Made in China podcast, so check those out. This video is the basics of quality control. I'm gonna do a deeper video on quality control, deep dive, but I wanted to do an intro, like an intro to quality control. What's up, world? My name is Rico. I am the CEO of SourceFine Asia, and if you're wondering what we're going to be up to in 2019 besides me trimming my beard, we're looking to hire a marketing intern for the summer of 2019. So 2 to 3 months in Guangzhou, maybe 1 month in Chiang Mai, Thailand, where my business partner, formerly known as China Mike, now Chiang Mike, is located. And basically we're looking for somebody that can help us improve and promote our content. So all of the stuff that you've been seeing on the YouTube channel, social media management, things like that. And then I want to make more day in the life type videos. And then potentially in Chiang Mai, we're thinking about hosting sort of sourcing, big meetup over there. So if you're interested in applying, go to sourcefineasia.com/intern. And just to give you an idea of some of the stuff that we've done over the past couple of years, here's a quick little montage for you. Alright, so if you like what you see, again, go to sourcefineasia.com/intern. I took a lot of time to write the details into that page about the job post and sort of my expectations, and you can apply through that page. So again, sourcefineasia.com/intern, and I hope to see one of you guys. Anybody's welcome to apply, but one of you guys in China this summer. Okay, quality control, aka QC, as it's known by the young kids in the industry, it's checking your products. But quality control really starts from the moment when you start sourcing a factory. From the moment that you start communicating with factories, you're essentially beginning the process of quality control. So sifting through the right suppliers, picking the right suppliers for you. If you want to learn a little bit more about that process, you can watch some of the other videos, choosing the right supplier, choosing the right factory for your business, initial communication, how to communicate with factories, how to build relationships with factories. I think we have, how to inspect factories. We have a ton of videos up on YouTube, so check those out. But yeah, I mean, it starts there. You want to make sure that you pick the right factory. You want to make sure that the factory that you're working with is professional, the supplier that you're working with is professional, because the more professional they are, the less quality control issues you're going to have. But in this video, I want to focus on the actual inspection side of things. So typically there's a couple different types of inspections. There's one called a pre-production inspection, right? So pre-production PPI, that's you going to the factory to inspect the supplier's facilities prior to even placing the order. That's the first obvious inspection. And then there's FRI, final random inspection, and DPI, during production inspection. So the final random inspection is probably the most common one. When you guys hire QC companies, you're typically hiring them to do an inspection at the end of your production. I recommend a DPI for, if you can afford it, I'd recommend DPI and FRI. But FRI is going to be good enough if you're making a product that already exists. So if it's a private label, you're just buying a product and slapping your label on it, chances are you don't really need to do a DPI. I would say a pre-production inspection, at least seeing their facilities and seeing that they're an actual factory and that they're generally organized, is going to be good enough. And then a FRI, final random inspection at the end. But when you're doing an original design, you want to do pre-production inspection, during production inspection, and FRI. Sometimes you want to do multiple during production inspections. And a during production inspection is usually done, it's better to do it earlier, like when the factory's produced about 20 to 30% of the products, because then you can catch quality control issues very quickly. It's a production line. So if there's one problem, like for example, if there's a spot, there's like a black dot that's not supposed to be there on the paint of something, chances are there's going to be hundreds of units that have that exact same problem because there was a workstation where that happened and that person made the same mistake, or there's an issue with the mold and it's going to be on multiple units. So if you can find that early, then they can fix it early, and then that's going to prevent production delays. So 20 to 30%, but it depends on the type of production that your factory does. There's batch lines. Factories that do batch lines, and there's factories that do sort of like a day by day production line. So like a batch line, the factories might produce 80% of the products within 2 days. So it's going to be very difficult for you to do a DPI on 20% of the products if they do 40% in 1 day. So you want to understand that from your factory. If you have a more traditional production line where they sort of work on a few of your products for a couple hours and then they work on more the next day and more the next day, then it's a little bit easier to schedule a during production inspection. Let's talk about the actual inspections. What's happening in those inspections? So there's a general QC standard called the AQL level, acceptable quality levels. So there's level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 2 is the most common. I'm going to put a link in the description where you can sort of read a little bit more in depth, and you'll see the graph. I'll put up a graph as well. But it's essentially, the basics of it is like you're picking out, let's say you have 5,000 units or 10,000 units. The AQL level 2 inspection will say that out of 10,000 units, we need to take out randomly 500, for example, and then out of that 500 units, there's going to be critical, minor, and major defects allowances. So let's say the critical defects are 0%, minor defects, let's say, are 3% of the product or 4% of the products that are inspected, and then major defects would be like 2%. What is a critical defect? A critical defect is any sort of defect on the product that makes it unsellable. What is a major defect? A major defect is something that will devalue the product in a customer's eyes, but you can still sell the product. Minor defects are defects that typically only the buyer, us, or the person designing the product would notice, but the end consumer probably is not going to notice. So those are the general definitions for those defects. I think that most factories in southern China know about the AQL level, at least they're familiar with them. When you start to go a little bit more into northern China and midland China, they're not familiar with them, so you're gonna maybe have to walk them through the process. But you don't necessarily have to walk them through the process in depth, you just need to explain to them generally what you're gonna be doing, and then you have a QC company. A QC company should be able to get in touch with the factory before doing the inspection and let them know what kind of inspection they're going to do. So when I say like they take out 500 units out of the 10,000, right? So let's say 500 units, they'll do a general inspection on all 500 units. That maybe just checking if they've all been packaged correctly and checking that it's actually the right number of units and they all look the same. as like a general inspection, just quickly going through each one. Then they'll do more specialized inspections, which would be to measure the size of the product, the dimensions, make sure that they're correct. But they're not going to measure all of them. They're going to take like 5 and measure 5 and see that they're all generally within an acceptable size limit, or they're going to check the weight of it. And then they'll check the packaging to see if the packaging was done correctly and has all the correct information for export. They're going to check the export cartons, the cartons that the packaging goes inside, and see that there's the right amount of products in each carton. Each carton weighs the right amount, and if they drop the carton, are the goods going to be damaged? Depending on the kind of product that you have, they might do a drop test, like where they drop the product from 2 meters and see if it gets damaged, and they drop it 10 times and see what the damage is and see if it's an acceptable thing. They might do a pull test, a stress test, where they try to pull the product from 2 different locations and see if it breaks and if it withstands that force for an acceptable amount of time. So there's going to be a lot of things. If it's electronics, they might test the battery. They might see if the product actually works or is functioning properly. They might check for heating or issues that can come up with that. If it's a metal product, they might check for rust. They might check. So like depending on the product, it's going to be a little bit more tailored. But there are general inspections: is the appearance inspection, the workmanship inspection, the use inspection, the packaging inspection, and that's generally the kind of inspection that most AQL level 2 inspections are going to be like. So again, you don't necessarily have to be an expert at the AQL levels. Like the QC companies will know this, and they can walk you through it. Again, I'll link a description up, but it is good to know generally how it works, because you should know up front that there's always going to be QC issues, and you need to decide as a buyer what you think a critical defect is, what a minor defect is, and what a major defect is. And those are 100% the things that you're going to argue with the factory the most. Besides price, you're going to be arguing about what a critical defect is, what a minor defect is, and what a major defect is. So that's something that you need to have, those are discussions that you need to have pretty early on, and definitely list out those things in your sales agreement. Like I said, it's your responsibility, but you're going to have to go back and forth with them and then decide together what those acceptable defects are, and then what happens if they go over the limits. If they take out 500 units and 10 of them have major defects, that's over the 4% allowed. What do we do now? So that's stuff that needs to be listed in your sales agreement. So again, those are the QC basics. I will do a deeper maybe case study on QC where I actually show videos of the QC that we've done. Maybe I'll talk about a specific product. If you guys are interested, I'll maybe talk about a specific product that we did QC on. If additional watching for now, if you want to see a little bit more what a QC looks like, I have a video called 5 Days in Nantong, a QC, a quality control Odyssey. I spent 5 days in Nantong last year, Nantong, China, doing quality control for one of my clients on CrossFit equipment. So you can see I was there. I was in these northern China streets, and I did an extensive 5-day process of QC. It was not fun, but it was fun at some points. But it was a very interesting video, and I think it's good supplemental viewing for this video. And like I said, I will do a deeper dive later on. So I hope you enjoyed it. Again, remember to subscribe, drop us a comment if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys next week.